Hello and welcome to the Daily Illini's final edition of our 2014 Illinois basketball preview. I'm Sam Sherman, joined alongside recruiting expert Alex Roux here at the Daily Illini. Today we're going to be talking some Illinois recruiting, and the season is upon us. So I want to start before we get into some of the guys that the team has targeted or brought in for future seasons. I want to talk about, Alex, who are you most excited for this season, or who do you think fans should be most excited for going into the season that has been a John Groce recruit that now is going to be playing?
I'm really high on LaRon Black. He's come in, he's a top 40 guy, and so far he looks to be every bit of that top 40 ranking. He really impressed in the orange and blue scrimmage the other day. He has shown a tenacity on the court that really we haven't seen in a while out of freshmen. It took last year's freshman a little bit of a learning curve to get going, but it looks like LaRon Black has been able to just hit the ground running and just be tenacious on both sides of the court.
I think a lot of people are definitely excited for LaRon. There's another guy, local product Michael Finke, who's got some great size, some good outside shooting ability. Do you think he'll get some time this season?
I think Coach Groce is going to see what Michael Finke can do in the non-conference against some of the weaker teams, and because there's no question he can shoot the ball. And there's no question he can score, and there's no question he can pass at a high level. The question is, can he defend and rebound at a Big Ten level? So I think we're going to be able to see that in some of these games early on. If Egu gets in foul trouble, if Morgan or Colbert aren't playing to what Groce deems necessary, then Finke will be brought in. I think Finke will compete with those guys for the backup center position in the non-conference, and we'll know a lot more after that about what he can do.
It's nice because this season it seems like they're going to have some depth, not only from players that have been on the team before, but like these new guys can probably create some of that. Moving on to some guys that John Groce and staff missed out on, you got Elijah Thomas, obviously Jalen Brunson, and then Juwan Evans. These guys were sort of thought to be having Illinois in their final, down to the when they were picking the hats or whatever they do, they were really highly considering Illinois. Ended up choosing different schools. What do you think this means for the Illinois basketball team and John Groce? I mean, do you think that is anything to be a concern for fans, or do you think he's still done a good job?
I don't think it means a whole lot missing on these guys. When you recruit at that level, you're going to miss on some of those guys more often than not. They're just such high-rated players, and you look at the circumstances with 2 out of 3 of those guys, Elijah Thomas, Juwan Evans, those guys were recruited from very far away. They're Dallas area players right now. That's a long way to come for to make such a big commitment to Illinois basketball. It's not been really that successful as of late. And as long as these guys have been really following basketball, Illinois hasn't been the cool place to go. So that's a big commitment for them to make, to go out of state. And like I said, you're going to miss on these guys more often than not when recruiting at this level. Jalen Brunson hurts a little bit more because he's a guy that's in our backyard up at Stevenson High School in the suburbs. So you can't get every guy, but it would be nice to see some inroads being made in the Chicagoland area with these top guys in the state, like Jalen Brunson, Cliff Alexander before him, Jabari Parker, guys like that.
There's another guy up in the city of Chicago by the name of Marcus Bright Lights Lovett.
Bright Lights.
Is that
Yeah.
that's his nickname?
Right.
What kind of progress have the Illini sort of, what's an update there?
Yeah, well, just recently the Illini offered Marcus Lovett, and he had a Kansas offer on the table. He has one from Tennessee as well. So that Illinois offer just really shows that how Coach Groce thinks highly of Lovett's talents. We know he's a YouTube sensation, and we know he can fill up the stat sheet, but this just really affirms our thoughts that Lovett could be a big-time player, and I guess we'll see as the high school season goes on if Groce's offer was more of a speculative offer, or if he really believes that Lovett can shine here in Illinois.
Well, they certainly are going to need that point guard help going forward. Sorry, Illinois basketball fans who are listening. We talked about the misses, but there are some. There was a lot of positives for them, kind of with who they did get. Guys, Erin Jordan, DJ Williams, Jalen ColemanLands. What can you tell us about these guys?
Right. Well, we didn't get a center or a point guard to fill out the class. We got some great scorers, guards that can stretch defenses, and all three can shoot. We have two elite shooters in this class in Erin Jordan and Jalen ColemanLands. These are guys that shoot close to 50% high school threes was just insane. So those are guys that are going to come in right away and be able to knock down outside shots. DJ Williams is more of a point forward, a guy that can put the ball on the floor, but also can stretch defenses because of his size. He's 6'7", looking to have a breakout year at Simeon. He's really come on the radar as of late as a highly rated player. Aaron Jordan, he's just fell outside the top 100 as far as recruiting rankings go, but he can really shoot the ball. Look for him to climb more on the radar of national experts as the year goes on, just because he's really improved his skills and kept up that shooting while putting some more muscle on his body. Jalen ColemanLands, he's a guy that has been highly rated. Just kind of fell into Illini's lap, it seemed, after he soured on Notre Dame a little bit. He's someone that can fill it up, and it looks like they're kind of grooming him to be able to take on a point guard role if necessary at Illinois.
So, I mean, there's a lot of shooters coming up in future classes, and a lot of shooters on the team now. Mm-hmm. When you look at last year's team, where shooting was an issue, yeah. A pretty big one. Could people expect this even as early as this year and kind of going forward for there to be some really good shooting Illinois basketball teams?
Yeah, I think it's really going to resemble those early 2000s teams. We get guys like Corey Bradford that could shoot, Frank Williams. Shooting does so many things for a team. Just spacing the floor and creating easier shots. We saw last year how clogged the lane was and how difficult it was for Illinois to really get in there and score the basketball at all. So with shooters this year like Aaron Cosby, you got Malcolm Hill can knock down shots, Kendrick Nunn can shoot, just guys that can stretch the floor and open up driving lanes. And even if Ravonte Rice can hit at a consistent clip, that just does so much for your offense as far as opening up the floor. And then with this next wave coming in next year, there's no telling what the potential could be for Illinois as far as the offensive end of the floor. I
mean, and I guess, obviously there's going to be a lot of those new guys who could contribute on the shooting end of things. And, I guess to close, are there some guys out there that maybe the fan base or people maybe may not be so familiar with in terms of recruiting, or who Groce and staff might be looking at?
Right. Well, like we talked about, Marcus Lovett is someone that has not been on the Illini's radar for long, but he could certainly be someone that comes into play as the high school season drags on. Another guy is Jamal Murray, playing up in Canada right now. He's actually a 2016 guard at this point, but he's old enough and good enough at basketball where he can reclassify into the 2015 class. And people expect him to maybe do that if he sees a situation that fits him. So he's a point guard that is a 6'5", can really be a physical point guard, but also be the type of guy that Groce wants in his system. So Jamal Murray is someone to keep an eye on as well. As far as the 2015 class goes, there's also the return of Darius Paul, who could perhaps come back into the fold after next year, and it's looking more likely now, hearing the progress that he's had down at that junior college in Texas, and missing out on Elijah Thomas, that we still have a scholarship to fill, and Darius Paul should be welcomed back with open arms among fans, and I assume the team and coaching staff.
Well, if I know anything about Illinois fans, it's that they will be following very closely for recruits kind of just going forward, and for as long as I can remember, they're going to be paying a lot of attention to that. Well, thank you so much, Alex, and thanks for everybody for watching this 2014 Illinois basketball preview presented by the Daily Illini. For myself, Sam Sherman, and my colleague Alex Roux, we thank you for watching.